Hey, hey, hey.
The
How y'all
last,
doing?
so good. The last time we recorded that, I got so excited about the clap. I don't know what was going on or like what was, honestly, I kind of feel that way right now too. It might just be the pre-presentation adrenaline, but I went back and looked at our videos and the quadruple chin that I had as I like leaned back and rounded up for the clap was so funny. I was just like, oh my gosh, that is a face that truly only my mother loves. But no,
That's
I
awful
just
to
get
say. That's not true at all.
so excited.
Um,
Oh, it's so
hey,
funny.
so one of the things that I'm struggling with is the opening of this. Welcome everyone to another round of WTF Talks.work. And I don't know. Do you guys hate the clap? Do you love the clap? Would you
They can't
comment? Tell us, let us know.
I don't think they can actually hear the clap because when we edit it, it's so loud that it gets blocked out. So it really is just us like pumping our hands together and like creating no sound and having the funniest facial expressions. So I think it's really funny. Like it's
Okay.
not good, but I think that it's so bad that it's good, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Well, everybody let us know if you hate it or if you like it. Our opening is longer than I want it to be, and I want to get down to business quicker. So, but I don't know how to do that because I love to talk and just be silly.
I'm
So
really
this
good at
morning
those
we're going to talk
transitions.
about,
This
this
morning
morning
we're
we're
going to
going to
talk
talk about,
about it's all about goal setting. But yeah, I have this presentation that I am gonna go give today at the NPTC, right?
National Private Truck Council of America.
Of America. I don't know why I always get that one in the PMTC mixed up. And like I'll throw in an extra word every once in a while. I'll be like the National
Right.
Private Sector
Right.
Council of
You do. You're
like
awful
something
at
like I'm
it.
like, I don't know. Like big
The,
trucks.
the
So
so they're not sister organizations, but they serve the same people in different countries. So
oh wait,
they just have a
really?
really good networking back and forth between Mike Millian and the team over at PMPC, um, whose names are escaping me right now.
That
But
shocks me, Tom. That shocks me. I don't know why I really had imagined that they were affiliated with one another. But anyways, so
no,
yeah,
but
so
they
I
say
have
they serve the same constituency in the trucking industry. They're both serving trucking companies that are owned or subsidiaries or divisions of companies that don't move freight for a living. They move freight as a byproduct of the things that they make or sell.
got
And
it.
so a lot of our history in serving clients has been in serving for hire carriers. But I would say in the last 10 years, we've really grown in this sector where we're serving companies like Big Al's or, somebody else who um, they're, they've got a retail store where they're selling something and they've got trucks that move the freight to the stores. So you're talking to them today about what?
How to, drum roll please, what everybody, it's hard gas, know how to recruit and retain the next generation of employees into transportation. So I am
Okay.
so excited. I am so excited. I was just telling you and the team this morning that I have some new stats that have come in. I have a full new slide with a lot of new statistics that I think are really going to help. And then I have two new, one I've tried once we did at the TTA with the Toronto Trucking Association a little while ago, but one new exercise around the concept of lockdown drills and what that looks like and how those have been experienced from Gen Z, and then over stimulation and burnout and kind of what it looks like to have a Gen Z's phone. So we're going to do a couple little workshop element games, and I think that they're going to bring some really interesting perspective to the conversation, which I'm really excited about. So,
Yeah, that
and of course,
the interactive nature of what you do in those things, it really brings to light the data and the conversation that you're having with people all throughout it.
absolutely. But of course, I'm much more excited because I made a bet with my father once upon a time, about 24 months ago. And he was like, hey, Hannah, if you could get up on this stage, winner, 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 chicken dinner. Like that's a really cool goal. You should set that for yourself. And now, 24 months later, just 2 years removed, I am up on that stage given a breakout session, and I'm so excited. I'm excited to be there and in that room and with all of the new content and information, but I'm also just excited because this was one of the goals that I had set for myself. And I'm like, this is the Orlando Convention Center. Between the Orlando Convention Center and the actual association, I'm just like, man, this is checkpoints all the way around. I've wanted this one for a while, so I'm really excited.
That's great. 24 months is a while to you. That's still mind blowing to me. Most people have lifetime goals that take longer than 24 months, Hannah. So let's just talk about the nature of goal setting for you, and also um, what it's like to have a lunatic, throwing down things like that for you. Like in the moment, 24 months ago, when I said that to you, had you given this present? You'd given this presentation once.
Once, yeah.
So like you had one thing, and we were looking for a national association. Like that was kind of the goal. And like how ludicrous was that goal at the time? And how did you not just cave under the weight of such a lofty goal? And like, how does that work in your brain? Like, you're weird.
Oh, that's a really interesting question. I think I love goals. I love goals. I love big goals. I love small goals. I love any kind of goals because I think that if you're wandering through life without a destination in mind, it's just going to continue to wander. You're never going to get anywhere. And so I love to have something to work towards and have always really been very driven when I have direction and kind of that end result. And I think that I personally experience goal setting really well in a place where I'm like, okay, like these, oh my gosh, I think last year I set like 150 goals for myself. I was just like, these are the areas that I want to improve. These are the things I want to do. These are the people I want to be in touch with and the habits I want to have and the hobbies I want to do. And so, like, there are so many different areas and ways to set goals. And I am always more, let's err on the side of let's set more, let's attack it while we've got it. And then if in in 6 months or 7 months or 2 weeks, I decide that this goal is no longer serving what I want it to do, I can put it down, set it aside. And so I think it's really easy. I I think I hold like a pretty significant stereotype with most of my friends as somebody who will come up with an idea and then I will just do it. And most of them are like, yeah, like that's the most Hannah should have ever seen. Like you'll come up with something and you'll go, yeah, I think that that sounds like it could be fun. And then you'll just figure out what to do. And in my brain, I'm like, because if I don't succeed, that's better than not trying. If I don't try, I will consistently always have something in the back of my brain that's like, well, you didn't do the best. You didn't give it your excellence. Like you didn't give it your best shot. And if I don't
Mm.
give it my best shot, I will not deal well with that. So I'd rather give everything a best shot and then determine kind of as I'm going through those things and continue to set specific one down and hold different ones higher. And they all have different levels of significance. But I think that many, many, many goals is a good thing. And lofty, crazy, insane goals are great for
Well, if you're
it's
going to
great
have
to push yourself.
150 goals, you got to have some that are nuts.
Yeah.
You might as well have shoot the moon a couple times in that list. But like, why are you broken this way? Last week you wrote a blog, I think it's on LinkedIn, about entrepreneurship and nurture versus nature, and what's instinctual and what's kind of what's built into you in your family of origin or wherever. What's the earliest time that you remember setting a goal for yourself? What's the earliest time that you remember your mom and I talking to you about setting goals? And um, how much of this is just in you, just born in you personality wise?
So I think that a lot of it is born into me, and I think a lot of it is nurture as well. We've been talking about the three I's since I've been a kid around the dinner table. So while this is very much intentionality, intensity, and integrity a part of our work culture, it's also a part of my like the way that you have just raised me as a human being. And
Mm.
so I love nothing more than to do nothing. People won't know this about me. I love to sit on my butt and color a coloring book, like an adult coloring book, and watch a movie I've seen 100 times. But if I have something that I need to do, my ability to relax in that moment is non-existent. And so my like inherent need to accomplish so I can rest is really aggressive. And I
Mhm.
can't rest until I accomplish. And I think that that's kind of probably where that like accomplishment piece comes from of like, okay, well, how do you actually pull all of these goals across the finish line? It's like, well, I would actually never feel like a good human being. I'd never be able to slow down or be comfortable or be at rest if I wasn't accomplishing something. And so I think that that's kind of where that comes from, and probably through the intensity piece. And then I think that the intentionality piece was really just so driven into me and became such a big part of my life. Like the first time I remember truly setting a goal, I was in fifth grade and I was homeschooled for the first time. And I remember figuring out, I was like, oh, my education is in my hands and I can do whatever I want as long as I'm accomplishing and finishing it. And so I never had a school on a Friday in my life. I worked all
In
of my
that year.
stuff in that year, pardon me, all of my stuff preemptively by the Thursday night and finished all of it. And then I finished this semester like 2 months early because I was just like, I can have a 4 month summer. Are you kidding me? Like, I can do nothing for 4 months if I do all of this right now. And so it's, yeah, the continual desire to get myself into a place where I feel the freedom to rest burns me out. It's a bad cycle. It continues to push forward. But honestly, I really like working that way. And then the other one, so I remember that kind of from fifth grade being really intense and like driven, and I was excited and I was ready. And that was my, I would say, like natural making to be super gung ho for something like that. And then the first time that I remember being really, really intentional about something like that was when I was 19 and I was moving to Orlando for the first time. And I was like, these are my friends, these are my people, these are the way they experience love, these are the ways that I can communicate and have relationships with them now. Here's the schedule that I'm going to write for each of them and the plan that I'm going to follow through. And I had this massive spreadsheet of all of these people that I loved and the best ways to keep in contact with them, and the best ways for them for me to keep in contact and make sure that they were feeling loved. And this was ridiculous. Like just absolutely insane, but it worked and it was fantastic, and that intentionality made the intensity really easy. And then I just came with it from so much love. So the integrity piece, like it I wasn't doing it because I was trying to get something. It wasn't like the sales lists where I'm like consistently trying to close a deal. It was like, no, 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 I just love you. I want to pour into you. And so all of those things kind of tied together and created a goal creation and follow through system that has done me very well. But yeah, kind of over time.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, I'm fairly goal driven, but big, wild, lofty goals, none of the steps in between. And that's where you're a much better um, person to talk about goal setting than I am. I have 5, 10, 15, 20 year range goals and expectations of myself. And I wake up every day not knowing what I'm going to do next. And that's quite a challenge. But it's
That's
amazing. It's amazing that by God's grace, as I look back at the spreadsheet I made 25 years ago, and I go through the checking things off, um, we've accomplished most of the things that we were trying to accomplish. And there's some things that we adjusted in the path because
Mhm.
priorities changed or whatever, but that's easy to go back and kind of manage the mindset around, okay, I didn't do that one. But and it, like when I made that sheet, I had both like these are reasonable goals. These are things that we should be able to accomplish. And these are big, hairy, audacious goals. And because we did well at accomplishing many, almost most of the normal goals. There's a couple of the big, hairy, audacious goals that happen to get checked off too. And
Yeah.
so I love that two-tiered thing for me because I need to dream big and bold. And certainly when I was in your age group, I really needed to. Um, but I also needed to temper that with something that was okay. This is measurable, smart, measurable, attainable,
Attainable, realistic, and timely bound.
realistic, and timely. And so that changed my perspective on just BHAGs. And so, how do you do it? Do you have both? Or do you put them all in one sheet? Like, how do you do it?
I put them all in one journal together. Yeah, but I
Actual
think
pen and
that
paper.
yeah, actual pen and paper. I think that the computer's great, but I kind of get lost in the computer in it sometimes. I'm like, I physically need to write these bad boys out. So, and that kind of comes back to the concept of manifestation and in oh gosh, what is it called? The under in written process. There's something that happens, and I see I talk about it in my how to set goals presentation. So if you're like, I've seen you as a Gen Z
And in your Gen
speaker.
Z presentation, don't you?
Mm-mm, no, not this one. But we talk a
I
little
listen
bit
to you
about
talk a lot, so I get them confused.
that's so reasonable. Yeah. We talk a little bit about manifestation and oh, and coding is the word that it is. But as you're physically writing something out, as you put the pen to the paper, you are writing the script in your brain that is telling you that you can do the things that you can do. And the more you write out, the more you are telling your brain that you can accomplish these things by continuing to write the script into your brain, which will by default create your subconscious brain to become more hell bent on actually creating and accomplishing the things that you're telling yourself that you're going to do. But anyways, so if you're interested in that, we can go through all of the science behind what it is to set goals and how to set goals and the things that you should be looking at. And I love that presentation. And I'm so excited to blow that bad boy up in the next couple of years as this Gen Z one comes to an end. But
Well,
I
Gen
actually
Z's not
don't.
coming to an end. Gen Z's not coming to an end. The confusion will remain, and then,
Well, they but
parlaying that into alpha.
That's the thing. They will end eventually. Like, we're not really talking that much about how do we manage millennials anymore because millennials are the ones that are managing. But the most insane stat, and this is the first time I'm ever going to say this on stage. I'm so excited. I've been telling everybody 2025, 27% of the workforce, we're going to be Gen Z. Ready? 2026, the first year that Gen Alpha is legally able to enter the workforce.
Ooh,
Next year, y'all are still freaking the frick out about Generation Z, but next year, the next generation of employees comes into the workforce, and you're going to be like, what? So, what is this? Like, what are we doing? And so, I don't think
wow,
that
that's
that'll
really
start.
so. That takes us back to our morning meeting this morning. We were talking with our team about schools, and they've passed a law recently in Quebec where students are going to be allowed to have their phones on campus, as I understand it, but only in their locker, not in the lunchroom, not on breaks,
Not in the
only in their
hallway,
locker and when
not
they
in the
leave campus.
bathroom,
Nothing in the nothing in the calf, nothing in classrooms. Um, uh,
nothing.
yeah, nothing. That's
Yeah,
wow. What do you
yeah.
think of that? You went through your whole life
I
with a
love
cell
it.
phone in your pocket.
I love it so much. I love it so much. I think that one of the things that we're going to talk about today in the presentation is the concept of overstimulation and how it relates to depression and anxiety in this Generation Z group. And unfortunately, Generation Z is very anxious, very depressed. They are the most depressed and anxious generation by far. And they come with higher ratings. I think the stat I pulled last night said that 46% of Gen Z consider themselves to have very poor or quite bad mental health, which is the highest percentage of any generation. Um,
Wow.
and and that's so sad and so horrifying. And it kind of comes back to a bunch of different things. But what we're going to talk about today is that this environment that they are in, the society that they are in, has set them up to be overstimulated, depressed, and anxious human beings through a large number of things, whether it's technology, social media, the news, the notifications that go off on our phone. Like the average
Isolation.
person, isolation, the average person gets 150 notifications on their cell phone every single day. Gen Z considers themselves, or not considers themselves, but reports to be the loneliest generation to date. Like it's bad. It's sad. Cell phones need to go because this has like it is always right next to us. It is always right there. And I deleted my Instagram about a year ago, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever had. And I'm like, okay, and Instagram's gone. I gotta keep LinkedIn. I gotta keep TikTok because of those are the only two that I can make money on. So those are the only ones that I'll actually invest any time and energy into. I'm like, Twitter, Instagram, the rest of you gotta go because you're just literally
Sucking the life.
draining my mental health, like sucking the life out of these human beings. And it's really sad. But it's
Wow.
alarming and really interesting if you just delete a couple of your favorite apps, a couple of your apps that you go into the most often, and then you watch how regularly other people are on their phone around you. It's a little gross, like quite disturbing to be honest, because you'll be in a situation and you'll be like,
Oh, I got nothing.
I'm right here. I'm still waiting for your attention. But it's just like head is in the phone and it's in a different world. And that's why I talk about technology being a different world because it quite literally takes us out of the room we are in and puts us in this digital, the
Right.
interweb space. But it's just like, no,
Well,
there's no connection.
just this weekend, we had a couple of different family times. It was Mother's Day. It was your birthday, um, and your brothers were in their phones, and I was yelling at them to be present. And then I was in my phone, and Mom was yelling at me to be present, and not to. And it was like, it's so true. Like honestly, the boys fall straight from the apple tree, and I'm very opinionated about what other people are doing, and not as so opinionated about my own self. And that's just the selfishness nature of life. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm a.
So
That's.
and our viewers will love this because I'm going to challenge you here. Why
I might not love it.
I would anybody who is in that position, because I think that a lot of professionals in your specific seat find themselves in that position where they're like, my damn kids are always on their freaking phone and I can never like blah 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 whatever. But then you at the same time have your cell phone and you're consistently doing the exact same thing, probably spending just as much time on it. The difference here is I think that most people who are professionals and later in their careers are looking at the newer generation and they don't see what we're doing and they don't know what we're doing and they think that it's a total waste of time. But they can look at their own work, their own being, their own self, and they go, well, I know that I'm working. I know that I'm putting this effort in. I know that I'm doing XYZ. So I can validate and rationalize the use of this cell phone in this way, in this moment, in this period. But then they look at the Gen Z and they're like, I don't get what you're doing because I can't see your screen. And so my brain immediately goes to, you're wasting time. You couldn't possibly be doing anything productive because you're my kid. And that's the way that you see this perspective. When in reality, this person could very well be doing the exact same emails you could be doing. They could be reading the exact same emails you are reading because they're CC'd on the same stuff. And so it's not always that we are doing it differently than they are. It's just that our understanding of what we're doing is so different, and the perception of how that comes out in reality is so important. And so
Right.
I would just encourage you to, rather than being like, he's probably on YouTube or like reading a dumb story or whatever, be like, no, he's probably reading the same emails that I just read in the bathroom while I was hiding from my wife and sitting on the toilet. Like,
Don't say
it's
that. Not hiding from her, but I was.
But no, you're
uh,
hiding the phone from her. You're not hiding from her, but you're hiding the phone from her. You're hiding what you're doing from her.
Yeah, I've done that a lot of time on vacation in particular. Um, but yeah, I think that that's very true, Hannah. I think you're absolutely right that when we look at ourselves, we justify it because I'm doing something for someone else, or I'm doing something to make money, or I just need this. And we look at somebody else that's doing it, and we're like only ascribing the lesser um, valued things to them because we all think a little bit too highly of ourselves. We all have a thing about pride. If you don't think that you have a thing about pride, you definitely do. Let me be the first to tell you. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean that we
No,
all
it's just, yeah, we're just
that all
humans.
people across the planet have a problem with pride. And we need to check ourselves and we need to work at being humble and we need to be open to being challenged by everyone around us. And we need to allow the Gen Zs to um, improve our thinking and help it help us gain new perspective. And not that we need to, and this is the Gen Z side of it, they need to be understanding that, hey, if we heard you, that's the first step.
Mm.
And as the Gen Zs build credibility with millennials and Gen X and boomers, that they'll be listened to and heard even more. And so it's that balance, right? It's just being in relationship and caring enough to see the other side. You never know what other people have walked through. And had a really great conversation with my two brothers this weekend and gained a perspective what their life's been like in the last 24 months. And that was really helpful to me,
Mm.
because perspective builds grace and it builds kindness and it builds empathy. And when you're dealing with a generation that is particularly fraught with stress and isolation and frustration, and um, they need more of that. And we need to be good to give it to them. It's only kind and caring. And so, as leaders, we need to invest in every generation, even Gen Alpha as they come up next year. So, hey guys, if that could be a wrap on our talk about um, goal
Goal
setting.
setting.
That was a little bit. We got off there on the end of it, but so Hannah, you're speaking at the National Private Truck Carriers Association, Orlando, Florida today.
Yes.
You're speaking at the Women's Trucking Federation in Calgary soon.
May 27th.
May
Yep.
27th. So if you want to hear the Gen Z presentation and you're in Western Canada, come to Calgary, join the Women's Trucking Federation. Men can go to that event.
Men
I've
should
been,
go to that
I've,
event.
I've been welcomed, and they appreciate you being there. Um,
We do. We love it. We love
and
it.
then,
Anybody
and then,
who's willing to show up as an ally is doing so much more than the average. So if you
right?
do come, thank you.
Yeah, it's just a place to show up at.
Yeah.
And when you show up in life, you show people that you care.
Mm.
So show up.
Sure.
Anything else? Anything else big coming up?
May 2 4 weekend's coming up. That's pretty exciting. I mean, that's not this weekend, but next weekend, and everyone will be very excited about that. That's the
Yeah, for
only other
sure,
thing I can
for sure.
possibly think of.
Um, I was thinking more about your peer mentoring thing for graduates.
Oh, yeah. I just was not even in the line of thought of that. Yeah, I have this new peer mentoring group. If you haven't heard about it yet, send me a message. I have one group I'm starting with some university grads right now. It's going to be really good. I've got 4 more open spots in that if you want to send your university graduate as a little grad present. It's going to be a great little group. We're going to have lots of conversations where they can really just create a community of people. I think one of the most frustrating and isolating things post grad is that you've been surrounded by all of your best friends for 4 years and you've been doing the exact same thing for 4 years. And so creating relationships in those environments is really easy. And then you graduate into a post grad world and you're just like, how the heck do I learn how to be an adult by myself in this new environment or old environment that I'm walking back into? And it can be very lonely and isolating. So, peer group for that, lots of great educational content around it.
Right.
And would start a high school one. If you've got a high schooler and you're like, I would love this high schooler to be in this group, but they're not old enough. I don't have enough people to start that group yet, but if I had a couple more, I would. And so if you have a high school student that you want to sponsor and send to this, let me know. We'd love to put that group together for sure.
So Hannah, let's talk pricing on that a little bit and what the commitment is, because I don't think people know or understand. You're looking for what kind of commitment from people?
Oh,
And are
goodness.
you taking lessons on how to drink?
No, two
That's
two podcasts in a row I've now spilt on myself. That's wonderful.
this is how
Um,
it works. You lift it to your lips,
yeah.
you swallow, then you put it back down and keep talking.
Part of the problem is that I don't want to like open my mouth up wide enough to get the whole thing. So I just have it pour over the top of, anyways, it's a whole thing. It shouldn't be that complicated.
Pricing. Let's go back to pricing.
Yeah, so it's $150 a month. You get two different sessions. You have one peer group session with all of the people in our group, and then you have one that's just a one-on-one with myself. My only commitment request is that you go through an entire month before you decide to leave. So 150 one month, do those two sessions. If you hate it, if I'm trash, if I'm not offering you any viable, valuable information, don't pay me again. I don't want it. But if this is a fantastic group for you and you're finding connections and creating communications and conversations and relationships that are valuable to you and helping you as you're learning to grow, come for another month. But yeah, month by month, do the entire month as a package. That's the only request.
So $150, and they get to be in a group with other people, same-minded, like-minded people of the same age,
Same
to
spot, same
talk about
situation.
issues, same spots of life. And the message that we'd like to send to our American friends is that we're willing to take your dollars at par. So,
Yeah,
so all of America should know it's $150. All of Canada should know it's $150.
that's actually great. I'd love to give just a little discount to my Canadian, like, and also, and I know that you cannot have like
No, 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 no. It's
and
not. It's
and
not a
no, no, no,
discount to our
like
Canadians.
an alma
It's an
mater in
upcharge to
country.
our American friends. They
It's an
have to
upcharge.
because they're Americans. They have to pay us more. So, and when I say us, I mean you.
I like the alternative because they're Canadians. They don't have to pay as much. Just right now.
Well, we are Canadians, and we love the Canadians, and we want to make sure that the playing field is as even as possible. So, hey, thanks everyone for your time. I hope you're having a great day.
Thanks, guys. I hope you have a wonderful one and come back again for another WTF Talks with Dave and Hannah. I'm ready to be a radio voice. Bye.